I'm Mr. Ramsey, saving Western civilization, one student at a time. This video is about the third major cause of World War I, and that would be militarism, or the glorification of the military, or glorification of war. We've talked about two others before. We talked about European rivalries, aka imperialism. We also talked about nationalism, and today we're going to focus on militarism. And then the next time, we'll talk about the system of alliances. But right now, our primary focus is on militarism. And what militarism is the glorification of the military, glorification of war. And each European country this goes back to the rivalries, they rivaled each other militarily. Each European country would compare the other European country's strength. They'd make sure that they were up to par with that strength, and they'd have training programs, and they've checked the level of military spending so that one could not outdo the other. And as a matter of fact, after 1870, all the European powers except the British had a draft. They would draft civilians to work for their army. It was conscription, which means that there was compulsory for civilians to work for military service, and they had universal military training, which was a new phenomenon. That's a new modern phenomenon. Most European powers before 1870 did not have that. France had it before under Louis XIV. It goes all the way back to the 17th century, but most people viewed standing armies or conscription as a taking away of your freedom and your liberty. And so that usually was not heard of, except, I'm not talking about the serfs and levies and all that stuff. I'm talking about standing armies. And so you have this rise or this glorification of military to have the best military, to have the best army, to have the best navy. Okay? And when one country rivaled the other country on military spending, the other country would boost their military spending as well. It's what we'd call today an arms race, to make sure that one country did not beat out the other country. And a perfect example of this during war or before World War I is between the German Navy and the British Navy. The British Navy was known as the best navy in the world, and Kaiser Wilhelm II also wanted a navy and also wanted to rival German Navy. He didn't want to rival. He wanted to rival British Navy with his German Navy, and so that caused some major friction between the British and the Germans, because the British wanted to make sure that they had the best navy and they had more ships than the Germans, because Germany was looked to as more of a land power, an army, a military power on the land rather than a naval power. And British saw that as a threat to their power, because they're an island and they view themselves as a sea power, not a land power. Anyway, so that was an example of militarism. And you see, actually, this glorification causing problems actually in the Balkans, because the solution for your problems is to do it through warfare. Okay? If you're going to glorify war, then you're going to have war. And so what happens is you see this in the Balkan region, because you have three major powers that are taking land or losing land in the Balkans. You have the Austrian-Hungarian Empire that's taking land like Bosnia and Herzegovina. You have Russia, who wants to take over the Bosphorus. And you have the Ottoman Empire that's fallen apart because it's a sick man of Europe. And in the middle of all that, you also have groups that want their independence. They're going to fight for their independence. Mainly Serbia, Greece, Romania, and Bulgaria. Okay? So you have all that mixture in the Balkans. That is the reason why it's known as the powder keg of Europe, because the powder keg can explode if you have a match. Anyway, so that's what's going on. And they see that the solution to their problems in the Balkans is war. And that's what happened starting in 1853, the Crimean War. And then you had the Russo-Turkish War in 1870, where you have several of these states getting their independence. Serbia, Bulgaria. Greece already had theirs in 1830, 1829 to be precise, but and Romania. And then those areas, Serbia especially, because they wanted Greater Serbia, a Yugoslavia, and they want to take land to make this Yugoslavia or Greater Serbia, they're going to try to expand their land and against the Ottoman Empire. Okay? And this happens in 1912 when you have the Baltic League get together with the Greeks, the Serbs, and the Bulgarians attacking the Ottoman Empire. Okay? I think also Romania was also involved with that as well. They take more land away from the Ottoman Empire. In the process, Serbia actually gains Albania. All right? But the European powers like the British intervene, and they make Serbia give back Albania. Okay, in 1912. First Balkan War was in 1912, where we had the Greece, Serbia, Bulgaria attacking and fighting the Ottoman Empire. All right, to expand their territory. And then in 1913, you have the Second Balkan War, because Bulgaria felt like they were mistreated between Greece and Serbia, and so they attacked Greece and Serbia only to lose their land by Romania, the Greeks, the Serbs, and actually some Ottoman Empire also got some land back. And in the process, Serbia got Albania again, but they had to hand it over again. So Serbs not liking this very much. Okay, and so then they're going to turn their sights to Bosnia-Herzegovina, which was controlled by the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. And the reason why the Serbs start looking there is because of this idea of Pan-Slavism that actually comes from King Peter I. He wants to make a greater Serbia, and he actually is going to start threatening, I shouldn't say threatening, but he has this idea of a greater Serbia, and he wants to take land from Austria-Hungary, which is Bosnia-Herzegovina. Before that, Serbia and Austria-Hungary were nice neighbors, but after Peter I takes the throne of Serbia, he starts causing conflict because he wants a greater Serbia that has an outlet to the sea, to the Adriatic, which is one of the three major reasons why this war happens. There's four, but we're talking about the third one, which is militarism. And speaking of the fourth one, next time we'll talk about system of alliances. Hope you enjoyed.